Mr. Johnson, Asiedu Nketia.
You're welcome, my brother.
I hope you're well.
Very, very well and kicking.
That's nice to hear, considering the fact that everybody is reporting this morning that your elections are in limbo because the EC has pulled out. Give us an idea of what happened between you and the EC and the kind of assurances you have.
Well, as for the EC, we're called to inform their legal constraints in conducting our elections. And so the Electoral Commission has done nothing wrong, absolutely nothing wrong. They've gone by precedents and all that. The issue is that one of our presidential candidates have sought an injunction restraining us from proceeding with the elections on Saturday. And they have applied to injunct the Electoral Commission from conducting any such elections should we decide to go ahead. And so, traditionally, there are two views, legal views about an application for injunction. One school of thought holds that an application remains an application until it is pronounced upon by the courts. And so an application by itself cannot restrain the person from undertaking the act he wants to take until there is a pronouncement by the court affirming that claim. Now, the other school of thought is that if you are a Democrat and you have notice of an intention to restrain you, it is good for rule of law to restrain yourself until you hear from the court, because the courts are seized with the matter. So it will be better to wait and hear from the court. The Electoral Commission traditionally has adopted the second interpretation that holds that once they have notice of an intention to restrain, they will restrain themselves till the matter is disposed of. In fact, I've operated with this system for more than 30 years, and that has always been the view of Dr. Farijan. It has always been the view of Charlotte Osei, and I'm not surprised that it is still the view of Madame Jean Mensah, that once there is an application to restrain, they consider themselves bound until the matter is disposed of. If the election were to be underway in the course of the election, nobody could have, or no court could have, injuncted the process to force them to stop. But the election is not underway yet. So I agree with their interpretation of the law.
Okay, so you have no difficulties with the position they've taken at all?
No. The difficulty is with the candidate who has taken these matters to court, which we consider are non-issues.
Before we come to the candidates, I understand that if the EC had not taken that position, they were supposed to dispatch materials to the regions by today, or I think even yesterday. What does that mean if you are not able to do all that within the time frame you have set for yourself?
Well, we have given the Electoral Commission the material they need to dispatch. Their timetable of dispatching and all that is not strictly under our control. And I know that dispatching begin, way before the election. So I don't know their state of distribution as we speak now. So I cannot proceed to talk about that. But they distribute to regional levels first, and they wait to distribute. They break the bulk at the regional level and then proceed to distribute to the constituencies in the morning of the elections. And so, None of their materials will be carried from Accra. It is only our materials that will substantially, constitute the bulk of material that needs to be moved, and that has to do with ballot papers and the registers.
I'm also wondering what a forced postponement of the elections will mean to you in terms of costs, in terms of many other logistical plans that you have.
Well, it will give us a lot of problems because, every branch that we have outside Ghana will bring 15 delegates. All such delegates have already booked their tickets. Some have arrived. Some are in flight as we speak to you now. And some are due to arrive tomorrow. And those flights cannot be changed. And we have about close to 400 of such delegates coming from all over the world. That's a huge problem for us. Now, the next issue is that cooking for delegates, for instance, requires, huge logistics. So if procurement has happened, in some cases in the villages, you see slaughtering of animals have taken place, and these are places where you cannot have deep freezers to store food and meat and others. That's also a problem. Venues that have been procured already and paid for this for Saturday is also an issue, and many other things. And I believe that the police too will be affected because their deployment and all that will be affected. So it will be a huge inconvenience for the party. And the biggest issue also has to do with the actual careful calibration of our time during this period. Well, we have these elections that should happen on Saturday, and then we have another by-election which we are engaged in. Incidentally, that by-election takes place in Dr. Duffour's constituency, Kumawu. And, when the by-election occurred, the Electoral Commission engaged us, and we put in a plea that because our election is taking place on the 13th, any date that is so close to the 13th will make it very difficult for our participation. So they agreed to fix the date on the 23rd, which will mean that we will have at least 10 clear days to campaign. Now, so any postponement from the 13th will bring us dangerously closer to the by-elections, which will make our participation very, very difficult. Even if you add 1 week, it means that we'll be doing the party election on the 20th, and the following 3 days will be the by-election. So it makes it practically impossible for us to participate. And this is happening in Kumawu, the home constituency of the candidate, who are taking us to court to seek the postponement. What does that mean? I don't know.
Okay. Now, so having said that, General, now let's go into the matter at hand. I know you've already instructed your lawyers. I was just speaking to Godwin Tamaklo, who says they'll be in court tomorrow to deal with the matter of the injunction. But I'm sure you've been listening to the issues that are being raised. And I heard that you say these are non-issues at all. What do you mean when you say that?
Well, I don't know how far I can go. You know, I'm a village power tapa also. Don't drag me into temptation. But maybe I can explain what we have done. You know, we begin by, let me say that the issue that they are talking about principally has to do with their claim that they have not been given a photo album. A full complement of photo albums of the party, and they are dangerously close to the elections while they don't have that photo album. And that we have committed to give them a photo album some 15 or so days before the election. I believe that nothing could be far from the truth than that assertion. Because I'm sure from where you sit, you can have access to our guidelines. Because our constitution makes provision for such elections. And the constitution gives the National Executive Committee power to issue guidelines to regulate things that are not specifically provided in the Constitution. And so, for every election, the first thing we do is to issue guidelines so that anybody who is going to participate in the elections will read the guidelines and accept that these are the guidelines that are going to regulate the election, and I accept to participate. That's the first thing. And in the guidelines, we provide timelines as to what the candidates are entitled to throughout the process and when they will get what they are entitled to throughout the process. In the guidelines, we have stated in matters relating to delegate lists, we have stated clearly that after vetting, every candidate is entitled to be given the delegate list. And watch my words carefully. Delegate list.
Ghana's Gold. Radio Gold.
From A to Z of the guidelines, there is no mention of photo album in the guidelines at all. The current petitioners are demanding that they have not been given photo albums within a certain time frame. But we have not mentioned that we give them photo albums at all, not to talk about the time frame.
So what you're bound to give them based on the guidelines, delegates list?
Has already been given them long time ago.
So where is the matter of the photo album coming from?
I'll get to that. So this photo album
Ghana's Gold.
Is an attempt by the party to solve the problem of voter identification during the voting day. Because you see, when you go to particular Zongo communities, if you call Isifu or Salifu, you can get 50 of them with that same name. So if one Isifu comes with his document and says, I'm Isifu, and you allow him to vote, another Isifu comes with the document and claims that somebody has used his or her name to vote. It leads to a lot of challenges in our Zongo communities when there is such an exercise. So we decided that, look, even our constitution provides that before you can contest to become a branch executive, you must be a registered voter. So while you are contesting as branch executive, your voter's ID number is entered on your nomination form. And so now that you have become a voter, you have become a branch executive, and for which reason you are entitled to vote at this national election. We want to use the photo, the voter ID number you provided us to extract your picture from Electoral Commission database and put it by your name, so that on voting day, when you go to cast your ballot, we can verify. And we are going to present your voter ID card as a means of verifying you and clearing you as a person you claim to be. So on the voting day, we have stated that you have to come to the polling station with your party ID card, your voter ID card, and that the voter ID card is the principal document, because before you become a branch executive, the requirement is that you must be a registered voter. So come there with your voter ID card. If you can't find it and you have forgotten it, we have a copy of the EC voter register at the voting point. We have a copy of the NDC register of members also at the voting point. And then we have the list, the delegate list, the raw one that has been given to the candidates, also at the voting point. And then the photo album, which will show the name of the voter, his or her position in the party, his voter ID number, and his NDC ID number. So if there is any doubt, by the time you go through all this, the doubt will be cleared. So there cannot be an imposter in the election. So that is the purpose of developing this photo album. It is not a legal document which we have to give to candidates before the voting day. And we are so lucky that the process of selecting our delegates is so transparent, and that it will be very difficult to add even one person who is not a delegate. You know why? We select our delegates even as we are doing branch elections, because those who come to vote are branch executives. The bulk of our voters are branch executives. And our constitution stipulates that NDC branches must be coterminous with Electoral Commission polling stations. So if you have a branch, then there must be a polling station there. So if anybody inflates the number of branches over and above the Electoral Commission polling stations in a particular area, all you need to do is that this constituency has 100 polling stations according to Electoral Commission data. We are seeing 110 polling stations. Where are the 10 extra coming from? It's very easy to verify. So nobody can add any branch. Now, and every branch has 9 executives. And that one too, nobody can add anything to it. So you can sit in your office, whether you are NDC or non-NDC. If you know that the Electoral Commission has 38,000 and something polling stations, just multiply it by 9. And you will get the total number of NDC delegates coming from the branches. Okay? Then the next segment of voters are constituency executives. Everybody knows that NDC has 28 executives in every constituency. So multiply 28 by 276, and you have the number of constituency executives who will be participating in the election. Then regional executives. Everybody knows their number, and we have 16 regions. Multiply by 16, and you know the people who are coming to vote from the region. And then you have national, you add the national executives. So every JSHS pupil can calculate the number of NDC delegates. Then you come to special voters. That is a little bit more complicated than those I have mentioned, but it is easily verifiable. These special voters are made up of former ministers who are NDC, former NDC ministers. In fact, it is in that list that you will find the names of Dr. Duffour. Otherwise, he will have no status, capacity to vote, even for himself. Then you have former DCEs who are still members of the party. In that category, you will see Nabo Kwajobonsu. Otherwise, he too will not have a voting right. And then you have former presidential staffers who are still NDC. So all these things, you can sit from somewhere and calculate all of them, whether you are NDC or not NDC. And you add. Then the last category, then you have our Council of Elders. Their number 2 is known. You add them. And then last but not the least, you have delegates from foreign branches. And in every external branch, external chapter, we give them 15 delegates. So you know the number of external chapters we have, multiplied by 15, and you know. So anybody at all can do this calculation and give you the exact number of NDC delegates going into this election. Now, if we have a situation where somebody has been identified not falling under any of these categories, let them bring that name. Even one person, let them bring it up. So it's not sufficient for people to be blowing hot air that there are some 6,000 people we don't know, there are these we don't know. Tell us, you know these categories. They are in our constitution. If you are indeed an NDC member, you have a copy of our constitution, and you know the people who constitute our delegate list. So even in campaigning for NDC primary, The delegate list we give to you is even superfluous. Because as a true NDC member, when you go to a place, you must know our executives at that branch. Why is it that no MP or parliamentary candidate is complaining? And if the same delegate who will be voting for parliamentary candidates are the same people who will be casting a second ballot for presidential candidates, and all the parliamentary candidates agree that there is no issue about bloating, those who are in the constituency and can verify on daily basis, they have not identified any bloating. Where is your claim of the bloating coming from? Tell me, where is the claim of the bloating coming
from? In fact, I'm looking at some of the claims that they have made. They are saying 54% of delegates in the photo album, identities yet to be validated. They are also saying 28% of delegates in exceptions list with no information. 2% of names additionally added onto the register. This percentage can be higher after the identities have been verified. So they are suggesting that 2% of names have been added onto the register. And I think that's where they are making a claim of bloating.
That's what I'm saying. That. Tell me one person's name which has been added, which will not be there. Because you see, the delegate list has been given to you, the candidates, already. And so if there is an attempt to build a photo album, and you are comparing your delegate list with the photo album and saying that their particulars are yet to be brought into the photo album, is that not an issue that we can look at? Because even the National Congress, they use just the delegate list without photo album to verify anybody. So if we are trying to add transparent means of verification, and you have a certain number properly verified, which you are satisfied with, there are others yet to be verified. It doesn't take those names out of the delegate list you have. So all we need to do is that we find a way of verifying them at the polling station. Either they come there with when they come with their photo EC card, you are able to verify. Is it the case that the names they are talking about do not exist in the list we gave them? They already exist. And we are making the process more transparent. Why would you come and tell us that what you have, which should have been used anyway? We are trying to bring other things that will make it more transparent. Then you come and accuse us that our new transparency does not cover these people who are in your list already, and so therefore we are fault. It's not on.
So clearly, as national,
the 2% that they are talking about, if they have listed names, that Kwasi Mensah, we know is not a branch executive. But Kwasi, we know he's not a former minister. So this is the evidence. From all that I have said, can these things be verified within minutes? You don't just go and put 2%. 2% representing who?
But they said they gave you the work they did. They didn't mention anybody's name in the report they handed to you.
So how do we verify? If you bring the report without a name and say 2%, how are we going to verify? Mention the names. Give us a list of names and say that these are the things that we have found. They don't exist. They have complained about other things, and some of them even give us reason to believe in the correctness of the photo album we have developed. During the voting, at the registration, there are people who always want to breach the law. So, in trying to file to contest elections, when you say enter your electoral commission number, some of them will enter their voting number, voters registration number, which is from another constituency. Know very well that we have said that you cannot come from another constituency to be a branch executive in a different constituency where you don't vote. But nevertheless, they put their original voter ID number there, knowing that they are contesting elections in a constituency where they don't vote. In such situations, you have won, become branch executive. Your name is in the delegate list. Today that we are trying to extract the picture from the voters register onto our photo album, you see that either your name doesn't come or your place will be blank. Why? Because the number you have given cannot be found in the branch where you are an executive. Because we just match the Electoral Commission register and then our delegates from the same polling station. So if your name is on our delegate list as a branch secretary in Finger of God polling station 1, and then we bring Electoral Commission register from Finger of God polling station 1, and you are not a registered voter in that polling station, your picture will not be found in that register. So your name will come as blank. Are you following me?
Yes, I am.
Now, wherever your registration is, when they are extracting the pic, they will only present the delegate list or their executives at that branch and try to extract their pictures from the register, Electoral Commission register at that polling station. And because your name is not in the executive list at that branch, your picture will be left in the Electoral Commission register and will not be brought into our register. So there too, if you go there, your picture will not be there because your name is not there. So you have several of them who will have their names, but there will be no picture attached. And it is a transparent method for us to even identify wrongdoers even during the branch election. So when it happens like that, we put your name on an exception list. So that when you come there to try to vote, and your name is not there, you won't be standing there and creating confusion. They will be able to identify your name on the exception list and tell you the reason why your picture is not there. And a determination will be made whether you should vote or not to vote. There are others where when filling in the nomination form to contest as branch executive, oh, I don't have my card here. My sister's card is here. Let me use it. Then they will write the number of their sister on their nomination form, you have won and now become an executive member. Now, if we are extracting your picture from the voters register, even you are a man, if you are a man, a woman's picture will be superimposed on your name with the voter ID number. Because as for the electoral commission data, the picture will come with the voter ID number. So we will be able to check whether indeed in filling your form you put there a woman's voter ID number, or when your constituency was bringing your name, they made a mistake in the voter ID number they put before your name. There are people who offer their card, their voter ID card for other people, more than one. So you have instances where you look through the register and you find out that one picture has appeared more than 3 times behind people as different people's names. When you go in, you realize that there was somebody who was issuing his or her voter ID card to other people to enable them to fill their forms. So all these things have been exposed, and it's for the good health of our party and our data. So you don't pick. So those complaints they are making, that we have done transpositional errors. You see a female's name and then by a man's picture and all those. It is a way of cleansing our register. And it was not put there by the mistake of anybody at headquarters. It is helping us to identify where either people fraudulently put their names there or something. So we clean it for the benefit of you, the candidate. Are you with me now?
Yes.
Yes.
So the entire problem you're confronted with is because of an effort you've put in to introduce an extra layer of verification or validation.
Yes. So in other words, we are victims of our efficiency, our own efficiency.
That's interesting.
Yes.
But I wanted to find out from you, being national chairman nowadays, unlike in the case when you're general secretary, the resolution of these things, the attempt to resolve them, sometimes outside the courtrooms, fall mostly directly into your domain.
Sure.
Is it possible this can be resolved without necessarily having to drag this in courts?
You see, my brother, that is where I don't understand the recalcitrance that is being displayed all over the place. I'm told by Dr. Duffour's camp, and you all know me, every Ghanaian knows me, that when I am handling elections, I make sure I am as impartial as possible. That is why for 17 years I remained your general secretary. Because even in elections involving myself, for the sake of avoiding conflict of interest, I always make sure that my name is not dragged into things that will project me as somebody, twisting the rules in my own favor. No, I don't. So in this particular election, I've been so careful to maintain very good relationship with all the candidates and their camp. So any candidates who have had cause to draw my attention to anything, you ask them. I deal with those things with dispatch. Dr. Duffour himself has had cause to draw my attention to a few things. And if you ask him, I dealt with those things to his satisfaction. Kwajobonsu have had cause to draw my attention to certain things. I've dealt with them. This particular issue they are complaining about did not come to my attention before they went to court. In fact, I'm told that, this is after this court matter. When I engaged the Duffour camp, they said they had been writing to General Secretary, they've been writing to the Elections Committee, and they have not even had the courtesy of getting a response. And I said, but I'm a telephone call away. And Dr. Duffour knows it, that when my attention is drawn to anything, I work on it. So the only time I heard about complaints about this voter album was when I was called by OKFM, and they were narrating the things that you are narrating to me now. And I said that if you listen to my interview, I said that I have heard these issues being raised, but I am yet to see the letter myself. So I'm responding to some of them with that caveat that whatever you are asking me is coming from a document you are holding. But as for me, I haven't seen any such letter before. But the reason why is that the General Secretary is the chief executive of the party. So all letters will go to his desk first, and those that need my attention are brought to me. And I don't go to work since becoming national chairman. I don't go to work every day because I will not be doing anything there. I have special days where all party members who want to access the national chairman comes to meet me in my house. Everybody knows it is Wednesday. So from Wednesday 5:30 to evening time I go to sleep, you see a queue of party people whose concerns I'll be listening to and addressing as many of them as I'm capable of addressing. So that's how I have scheduled my task. So I hope we will come to office on Tuesday and at times Monday. So I was being interviewed on a Monday, and I said that, look, I'll be going to work. No, I was being interviewed on a Tuesday morning. I said I'll be going to work this afternoon. So when I go there, if there's any such letter, I'll see. According to the interviewer, the claim was that they had written to us on Monday and that they are waiting till Thursday. They have given us Thursday as the deadline for action, beyond which they will advise themselves. And I said, oh, then that is wonderful because I'm going to work today, Tuesday, and I will see the letter. I was in the office on Tuesday when they brought the summons, which meant that their own deadline of Thursday, they were not able to wait for a response. Does that create a picture of somebody who wants a resolution or who is just interested in going to court to frustrate a process? Now, nevertheless, when the process came, we handed it over to our lawyers to work on it. But I realized that I have not been named either by name or title. So the summons was against General Secretary, Director of Elections, and then President John Dramani Mahama and Honorable Kwadwo Bonsu, and then the Electoral Commission. So I said, wonderful. That then gives me an opportunity to engage all of them who are fighting so I can resolve these matters out of court amicably. So I spoke to each of them individually on phone. telling them what I intended to do. And they all agreed that if I invited them, they will be present, they will come. So I wrote the letters and sent them, particularly to meet Dr. Duffour, plus the officials from the party headquarters who have been named, so that we can look at the issues and sort them out. Then, some hours before the time of the meeting, I was called and told that Dr. Duffour's lawyers have advised that they should not meet me. So the meeting had to be postponed. So I'm going to follow up this morning to try and understand why. Because if there are issues and the leader of the party who has not been cited as part of the problem is calling you for us to sit around the table to try and find solution. And it's like lawyers advise that don't meet your leader. And I had engaged the chairman of the Council of Elders, and they have agreed to give me a representation at my meeting so that we can look at these issues and track them out. So I strongly believe that maybe that information or instruction by lawyers has not been shared across board. That is how come that decision has been taken. So I have since drawn the attention of the parties that this is what I'm hearing from some of your representatives. Is that the true representation of your view that you cannot meet the leader of the party? So this morning, I'll find out what the latest situation is.
Very interesting. And I guess I can conclude by asking you for the NDC member listening, for the delegates who are still waiting to know whether or not the elections will come on, what would their national chairman and leader of the party tell them?
I will still urge them to keep waiting, because we are all waiting to hear something from the court. So after the court takes a decision, we will communicate that decision to them. And whichever way the decision is taken, we will abide by it.